Uh, so who wants to attend the next session onwards, they have to listen to the first session, because this is a 12 session course, right? If you're not attending any in between sessions, what will happen is it will be like little difficult to understand the next session. So my recommendation to everyone is, if there is some kind of difficulty in attending any one of the sessions, you can actually listen to that in YouTube. I'm going to upload these sessions to YouTube also. So let's do that. So coming back, Vedavyas puzzle to Ganesh ji is, he should not write unless he understands what Vedavyas is reciting, and Ganesh ji accepted it. And this is how Vedavyas kind of got hold of Ganesh's intelligence and intelligent puzzle that he has given, which was like, if Vedavyas stops in between, Ganesh is going to get out of the room. He's not going to write anything, right? Now, this is about the discussion between Vedavyas and Ganeshji, and then Ganeshji accepted to write everything, and then he started writing. So, but if we try to look back about the succession of all these Vedas, what has happened is, if you start with, it started with Ganeshji wrote it. Now, tell me one thing: can Ganeshji write something which is not accepted by his father? For example, when we were children, our parents never encouraged us, our parents always used to give punishment if we do something abominable. I don't know. I mean, now we can't really say that with all the international schools and international cultures, it is very difficult to impose conditions on the children. Right? On top of that, if they cross 12 years, means you can't do anything with them. They have to be left on their own, whims and fancies. But even now in US, right? I mean, when I was in US in between 2012 and 15, there was one very big thing there. It's like, if a parent is trying to torture his child, the child can call the police. And recently it happened, right, in Norway. One couple has been put in jail for an year, I think, just because they kind of scolded their small boy, who was like 4 years old. And now the boy is taken care by their grandparents. Is that correct? Yeah, parents should not ruthlessly treat their children. At the same time, if we don't give punishment, they don't know what is right and what is wrong. So coming back, we were never allowed to drink or smoke when we were children, right? So if Ganesh is writing something, if it is not accepted by Lord Shiva, can Ganesh write it? Definitely he cannot, right? So whatever Ganesh is writing, it is accepted by Ganesh, understood by Ganesh, and it is accepted by Ganesh because of that condition that Vyadvi has put. Ganesh had to understand. Once he understands, when he is trying to put his pen on the paper, he of course will think that whether it is right or not. If it is not right, he is not going to write it. If he is right, he is writing it, right? When he is writing it, obviously that is accepted by even Lord Shiva, which means whatever has been recited by Vedavyas, it's all been understood and accepted by Ganeshji and Lord Shiva. That's how the Puranas and Ithihasas were written by Vedavyas. Right? Now, when Vedavyas wrote all these things, at the end, he kind of very dissatisfied, thinking that, who will read these many Vedas? Because in now, if you look at in any metro, people really have to run to their office. They get up at 7 o'clock. That's it. By 9 o'clock, they have to be in office. 1 hour, they don't know which brush they do, which brush they pick up to clean their mouth, and what soap they pick up to do it. But leaving all things aside, if you are living in a high-tech city or a kind of software area in Pune, Delhi, or Mumbai, or be it even in United States, it's like you have to really rush right in the morning. Morning is very tight. So actually, me and my wife, we conduct classes also, maths and physics classes. So my wife is from IIT Delhi and I'm from IIC Bangalore. We are very humble to say that. And we were trying to conduct some classes. They're not paid, they're free classes, just to help children understand mathematics better, just to help children understand physics better, because physics and maths are two subjects which are very, very difficult to understand. And so we thought we will conduct some crash courses. Like every child is entitled to attend for 1 month. So the children are allowed to attend those classes for a month as a crash course, so that helps them understand how to actually read maths and physics easily. Because if you look at it, many kids were so afraid of maths and physics, right? So we thought of conducting the crash courses, and when we were calling people saying that this is free and you can help your children attend. So out of 100, at least 10 people say that no, in the morning we cannot really send our children or make our children attend, or for that matter, we are not available because mornings are very, very tight. So in this busy schedule, who is going to read all the Vedas, like 18 Puranas, 18 Upapuranas, Devi Puranam, and 4 Vedas, all these things? No one would have time to read. Then Vedavyasa thought he should write something called Vedanta Sutra. Veda means knowledge, Anta means end, Sutra means principle. So finally he thought that he had to write a Vedanta Sutra. He was not happy after writing even all the Vedas also. Right? Then he wrote even Vedanta Sutra. Right? Then comes Sankaracharya. Who is Sankaracharya? Shankara Acharya. He is none other than Lord Shiva. Right? So if you go back and then try to read about Sankaracharya, some revelations were there where it says that he's Sankaracharya, who is none other than Lord Shiva. And what did he say? He said, Eko Shastra Devaki Putra Gitam. Eko Shastra means there is only one Shastra. What is it? Devaki Putra Gitam. What is Devaki Putra Gitam? Who is Devaki Putra? Who is Devaki Putra?
Krishna.
Yeah, Lord Krishna, right? So, Sankaracharya, who is none other than Lord Shiva, after explaining the Advaita philosophy, he is the one who actually educated Advaita philosophy, right? At the end, after revealing all the philosophy, he said that Eko Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. What is that Devaki Putra Gitam? Devaki Putra Gitam is nothing but Bhagavad Gita. Right? So even Lord Shiva says that it is Devaki Putra Gitam, which is the only one and only. There is one stop, no more further ifs and buts and else. There is only one stop solution, that is Eko Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. This is what Shankaracharya said. Then comes Ramanujacharya. What is meant by Ramanuja? Rama Anuja. What does it mean?
Brother of Rama. Brother of Rama.
Yeah, he is Anuja of Rama, means the follower of Rama. Whoever took birth after Rama is Ramanuja. His Ramanujacharya is none other than Lakshmanji. Right? So Lakshmanji came with Dvaita philosophy. Then came Madhvacharya. Right? Madhvacharya came with Vasishtha Advaita philosophy. Then came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came with Achintya Abhedya Tattva. So Achintya Abheda Beda Tattva. This is Achintya Beda Beda philosophy. So we'll try. So don't worry about all these things. From where actually ISKCON also started. You might have understood that we are kind of starting from, we were from ISKCON. So you might have guessed it by now. But this is not to educate ISKCON philosophy, but it is rather to make a family, a better family, a person a better person, a Christian a better Christian, a Muslim a better Muslim, a Hindu a better Hindu. So we are going to talk about Sanatana philosophy, right? It is just to make a person a better person. Right? So don't worry about all these Dvaita, Advaita, Achintya, Beda, all these philosophies. I'm sure that within these 12 sessions, you're going to become expert in, I'm promised that you're going to get expert in all these things. And you would be able to educate other people. I'm sure about it. Then comes the final scripture, that is Bhagavad Gita. So we are going to discuss about Bhagavad Gita. Whatever we are going to talk in these 12 sessions, everything is going to be from Bhagavad Gita or some other scripture. But at the end of the day, it is going to lead us to help us understand Bhagavad Gita better. Now we have a simple question. What is Bhagavad Gita? It is definitely spoken by Krishna, but are there any other, thing, maybe some additional things that any one of us know about Bhagavad Gita? So let me ask one simple question. If we buy it, when I was in United States, I was working on one artificial intelligence application. So what that application does is, it has a ring scanner. So when we go to any supermarket, right, we see that scanners, right, barcode scanners. You scan it, check, it'll feed some value in the computer. Like that, we had something called ring scanner. So you wear it like a ring, and then with that also you can scan. So people who are like, do not want to really carry that barcode scanners, they can wear this ring scanners. So I was given the task to plug this ring scanner to an artificial intelligence application. So what that does is, it actually takes pictures of an engine, a four-wheeler engine, and then it tries to assess how good that engine is, but just by taking the pictures, right? So that was an artificial intelligence application that we were trying to build. But cutting the story short, we had, every engine will have a barcode. So I was trying to integrate a barcode scanner to that engine recognition system, AI system. So what happened was, I was not able to operate it. There was one problem, that it is not, because of which it is not scanning it. So I had one, my manager, who is a director in my company. So she came and then asked, Uday, what are you doing? I said, I'm not able to operate. Somehow this is kind of looks like this is a fraudulent piece. It is not working out, is what I said. Then she said, what are you trying to do? Then I said, this is what I was trying to do. Then my manager, she said that, did you read manual? I said, I'm kind of little overconfident. That's why I did not read it, is what I said. Then she's like, wait a minute. And then she took the manual. And then within 2 to 3 minutes, she kind of pointed one note in the manual, which talks about how to solve that problem. Then she said, here you go. So this is what happens when we don't read manual, when we try to operate something without reading a manual. So if you look at Bhagavad Gita is nothing but a manual which actually maintains a human body. So we go and read manual even to operate a simple television, or for that matter, a simple computer or video game. Why are we not reading the manual that actually helps us understand how to operate a human body? For that matter, it's not just human body, it is beyond it. It is about every living and every soul. We come to the concept of soul. So that is all about this session. So we will try to better understand how to deal with the soul, which is beyond the body. Right? But about the faith and all, we'll come back to it. So in these 12 sessions, we are going to discuss about that. Right? So before to that, my humble request to everyone is, if you have any questions, please speak out, first thing. And second thing is, if you know, do not stop the sessions do not stop or discontinue the session in between. My humble request is, even if you find a question, even if you feel uncomfortable in any session, please speak out and then ask more questions. Or if I'm not able to answer your questions, go to a better person, or go to a level above and then try to ask. I'm sure that you will get in this spiritual hierarchy or guru hierarchy, parampara, you will definitely get answers to your questions. So my sincere request is, please do not discontinue any of the sessions. In case you do not like my answers, of course, that's pretty much possible. I'm absolutely, at the end of the day, I'm bound by the material conditions, right? I can also tend to give answers that doesn't satisfy the question, right? So you can definitely, my humble request is to reach out to higher authorities to get your answers, but please do not leave it here. As you started the journey, let's continue. And now I want to thank each and every one of you. There are a few people who have already attended my session in the past, which was conducted last year almost at the same time. So like Anand Prabhu, and I see Sulochana Mataji, and then and other Vanilla Mataji. So all these devotees, they've already attended. Probably they have they're trying to join in again just to help me out in the session, and I'm really thankful to them. And I want to thank each and every one of you personally, but as there is a pandemic and we are kind of maintaining the social distance and not able to do that, but whenever there is a physical session, I would want to see each and every one of you and then thank personally. So till now, we have any questions? Are we good to continue? So Ganesh Prabhu, Gangadhar, he's my classmate. Gangadhar, you can also unmute yourself and then speak out. Padmakar Prabhu, Sahiti Mataji, Sarita Mataji, Tulsi Mataji, Sai Kirtana Mataji, and there is one Prabhuji or Mataji who named as Zoom user. Please change your name so that I would be able to call you by your name, and then you can also call me by my name. So I would like to thank each one of you. So till now, you have anything to say or share before we start the sessions? I would like to help myself by asking you a few questions like, what is your expectation from the session, or have you come up with some thoughts or something which are there in your mind and you had those expectations? So let me ask Ganesh Prabhu, would you be able to unmute yourself and then speak out? Or if anyone cannot unmute, they can actually put it in chat. Even if you're driving, there is disturbance, that is fine. Please go ahead and unmute yourself and put forward your expectations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for joining. So you have any thoughts or something which you want to put forward? If you think, if you people think that it is not possible to put it forward in this session, please put your things either in WhatsApp group or you can put it in the chat. So I'll be waiting for a minute to see the inputs. After that, we will continue.
We have to know completely how to love Krishna and how to receive love from Krishna.
Sure, Mataji. Very nice expectation. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Prabhuji and Mataji? Okay, probably we'll have at the end of the session. Let's continue now. Okay. So, as I summarized, so in this session, in these 12 sessions, we are going to conduct these things. In Search of Happiness, is God a creation of human mind? This is going to be a pretty interesting session because, nowadays there is a big thing says that, in my opinion, some people say, in my opinion, and in fact, there are so many gods now, so many gods. We wouldn't even know if at all there are some gods who are not existing. and still we are kind of, we do agarbatti and then we break coconut and all these things we do. And the third would be why believe in scriptures, and this is very, very important. When we come to that discussion, we'll understand why at all we have to believe in scriptures. Maybe one small example that I can give, right? So if you, I'll give you one example. Now, probably some of us have kids, right? So you might be having your children going to school, right? So probably in India we have syllabus like CBSE, ICSE, probably a state syllabus, and then probably few more syllabuses, right? But now what I'm proposing here is I'm gonna propose one new syllabus which is called ZYX syllabus, and the school is completely centrally AC, and it is absolutely free, books free, uniform free, everything is free. The syllabus is ZYX syllabus. How many of us are you ready to get your children to the school? Only thing is that the syllabus is ZYX syllabus. I have taken it from someone, and I have set up a school and I make everything free. I want to understand how many of us can actually get your children to that school. No one, right? So when we are not ready to send our children to a syllabus, to a school which has a syllabus which is not listed, how can we read something that is not listed? I'll give you one best example. Is there anyone who actually differ with my notion saying that the Vedas were existing 5,000 years back? Or probably we don't know who has written it, let's put it this way, but the Vedas are valid and scriptures are valid, right? So if we say scriptures are valid, how can we say that? How can someone come and say that you are from Stone Era? I have seen in the recent past, I've seen in a WhatsApp, profile picture of someone, in which in one side there are like monkeys, right, standing monkeys, and the other side there are like scriptural books. The left side says, yeah, you're seeing in picture, right? So the left side says, we are from Stone Era, and the right side says, we have got Vedas which were like 5,000 years back. So when I have Vedas which were like 5,000 years back, how can you call me that I'm from a Stone Era? So this is what, these are the kind of realizations that we'll get, right? And what are the three modes of material nature? And who is Guru? Is there, first of all, do we have to believe in Guru? And what is the need of a Guru? All these things we'll try to understand. So maybe I'll post this. So we'll try to understand each of these topics in detail in each one of the sessions. And today's topic is going to be in search of happiness, right? So let's move forward. Yeah, Sarita Mataji, thank you so much for your input. Sarita Mataji says, I took the book Bhagavad Gita 1 year back. Haribol, you did the best of the best things 1 year back itself. I'm trying to could not. Hope it will be easy to read after these sessions. Yes, absolutely. You can absolutely, develop interest towards Bhagavad Gita, which is the most. I know one. Yes, Mataji. Yeah, absolutely. You'll develop interest.
No, I just want to say thank you so much, because I was waiting for I don't know whom to meet or something, but I want to read and I want to learn it.
Yeah, when you say thanks to me, I should actually pass this thanks to my Guru, who actually helped me. I was like loitering around. I mean, me and my wife, when we came back from United States, right? So, I mean, Gangadhar knows me very personally. I mean, it's like, we were like almost like roommates. He used to be in the other side of the room and I was in the side of the room, right? He knows me very close from my childhood, in the sense, since my engineering, I was into this practice. But I was not so deep in the sense, like after me getting married, you can hardly count the number of dinners that we had at home, right? So I used to either go to Rajdhani or, something like, what do you call, Angiti. Those people literally used to recognize me. When I go to the hotel with my family, you don't have to tell them what is the menu. They used to bring it onto the table. So it's something, in 5 minutes, you'll have your food ready on the table. That's how my dinner was planned. But after, listening more and more to Guru and then the philosophy, then I understood what is the real goal of life and how to actually make things better, right? I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it. And then when you said thanks, I just want to pass it to my Guru, who actually helped me, nurtured me in this direction, right? So let's go.
Okay.
We have got another 1 hour. So yeah, this session is going to be in search of happiness. Now we want to understand, can someone tell me what are these things trying to do? What are all these people? Charlie Chaplin, or the chimpu, or the sparrow, or the child, or the spider, what are these things trying to find out?
Searching for happiness.
Searching for happiness? Any other thoughts? Yeah, thanks, Tulsi Mataji. Any other things that these entities are trying to do? What are they searching for? Anything else that we can think of?
Something going to be excited. Something they are feeling excited.
Yeah, something exciting. Yeah. Or
Which
probably,
make them happy.
yeah, which makes them happy. Or probably for good. You can come up with different ideas. You can go very wild because, once I was like, not once, actually today I received one video from one of my close friends. And what that video says is, there are two guys standing. One guy says that I quit smoking. One guy says, I quit smoking. And there is another servant of him who is standing there. And the person who quit smoking, he says, not smoking, for that matter, it's drinking. So what he says is, I quit drinking. Then the other person asks him, his best friend asks him, why? How did you quit drinking? Matlab, once in a while I drink. Then he asks, when? If someone forces me, then I'll drink. See what kind of excuse people come with. Only once in a while I drink, not every then and there as before, as as the way that we used to do in engineering. So then he asked, who is he, your driver? No, I employed that person to push me to drink. So once in a while he drinks only when the other person pushes, and he employed a person to push him to drink. He himself thinks that he has stopped drinking, and he wanted to drink only when someone else pushes. So he appointed another person who actually helps him, who actually pushes him for him to drink. So see the Patrick situation, right? But if you look at the end of the story, there also what is it that we are trying to derive by drinking? Also, we are trying to derive some kind of happiness, right? So all these things are looking for pleasure and happiness. So let's try to understand how we can actually derive pleasure. Maybe here also again I need your help. What are the different ways to find pleasure?
Should do things which we love.
Yeah, absolutely. We should do things which we love.
Yes.
I want to understand what all of us love. Each one of us love, rather, to be happy. I think I need every one of you to speak out. This will become more interactive, and then you would be able to derive maximum benefit out of it. I promise, within first 3 sessions, either you will be so attached to these sessions or you are going to quit these sessions. I'm 100% sure. So within these 3 sessions, you'll get to know, this fits or this doesn't fit. But in between, if you want to, if you are not speaking out, if you're not making it interactive, it might take more time. So my humble request is, you try to be more interactive so that, you can get maximum benefit out of it. So yeah, we are all looking for pleasure. And what are the different ways to get pleasure? It can be very wild. As you mentioned, someone wanted to employ another person to be happy.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, who is it that's speaking just now? Prabhuji, it's named as Zoom user. Yeah, please speak out, Prabhuji, if you want to speak something.
Yeah. Nothing. I just unfortunately clicked the mute.
No, Prabhuji, your name?
My name is Srinivas Prabhu.
Srinivas, thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining.
Yeah.
Rename yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sahiti Mataji, please speak out. Prati Kameshwari Mataji, please speak out if you have something to share. Padmaja Prabhu, yeah, you can speak out. So, if you don't want to speak out, I would like to, it will become something like, it sounds as if, I'm trying to feed in thoughts in your mind, but let me go ahead. So, how do we derive that pleasure? By what activities can I experience it? Do you agree many people derive happiness out of eating? Yes, of course. At least I'm a foodie. Then sleeping. My wife likes sleeping a lot. A lot means a lot. And my previous manager, who was a director, I was actually giving an example of her, right? She also loves sleeping a lot. For that matter, even my daughter loves sleeping a lot. I love, but I don't get much of sleep. So first is eating. You get you derive happiness out of eating, and then you derive happiness out of. My daughter is saying, "How can you say that I love sleeping?" Yes, he loves sleeping though. And then defending. So if you look at it, we were trying to build nice houses, right? Why do we try to build? So even people who already have an apartment, they try to build another apartment. Why? Or maybe buy another house. They try to do that. Why do they try to do that? Because fear of future. I mean, we had one small farmhouse, in the sense like it's not one person farmhouse. There is a farmhouse that belongs to a senior devotee of ISKCON. He had gotten one farmhouse near Hyderabad outskirts. So in that farmhouse, there are even a small, chicklet. What are they called? Henlets, or chicks. Yeah. So there are small chicks were also there, and then there were like a bunch of chicks, and then there is a hen who actually was the mother of those chicks. Now, in the same farm, there is a rabbit, and the rabbit tried to come just little close to the chicks, and the hen literally came and then tried to it's almost like tried to kill the rabbit, right? Why do you think it's trying to kill the rabbit?
To protect the children.
It is defense, right? So defending is also something that actually gives us happiness. It is not rather the bhaya, rather the protective thing that we do for the fear that we have. That is called defense, right? So defending also happiness. And what is the last thing that we can think of? Sex life, right? So obviously the entire reproduction, God has given us interest towards this stuff also, so that the reproduction continues. So if you look at anything that actually derives as happiness, they fall in one of these four quadrants. It's not going to fall in anything other than this. Probably, if anyone has thoughts like there is something else that gives happiness at the same time doesn't fall in any of these four quadrants, you can actually mention that. Can you think of anything that doesn't fall in and then gives happiness? Most of the times it falls in these four quadrants, right? So what are these four things? Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam. Can someone repeat? Can you please unmute yourself and repeat? I want everyone to repeat actually.
Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maiduna.
Yeah. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam. These are Sanskrit words. As I said, in this 12 sessions, you're going to become an expert in Vedas. Not really that expert, but you would be in a situation where you can actually speak to others in Indian language. That is kind of little bit on the scriptures, right? Yeah. So Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam. These four are the things that everyone, not just man. If you look at it, in this picture, you not just see the man, everyone, even a fish actually undergoes these four things to derive happiness. Even a monkey undergoes these four kind of things to derive happiness, right? So humans do these activities in more sophisticated manner, but activity is same, isn't it? Maybe humans eat well-cooked food, whereas animals, they tear and eat the flesh and meat, right? But all of us does things in the same way. There is no difference between okay, in one of the sessions, I was actually trying to tell this. I was projecting this slide and then said that there is no difference between what we are doing, but maybe there is a difference between how we are doing between animals and human beings. Then one person stood up and just walked out, said that, how can you say this? How can you say that I'm doing only those things that an animal is doing? Yes, definitely we are not meant to do the same thing that an animal is doing. We are humans. So what is the difference? Then I asked him, do not step out. Please stay back. I'm trying to then I asked him, what do you think is the difference? Now, Prabhuji and Mataji, this is a question to every one of you. So what do you think is the difference between a human being and an animal?
Animals and birds cannot speak, but human beings can speak out and express their feelings. Angry.
And we can learn something. I mean, God has given that gift.
Yes, we can learn something.
Everything is learning from the nature, Prabhuji, not ourselves. We are looking the animals and birds. We are learning everything from the nature itself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we are also learning. We are learning from our parents. We are learning from our nature, everything. Yeah, in fact, learning, speaking, all these things, we are learning from one or the other thing. But even if you look at animals, they are also learning, right? is there someone who actually, is gonna come? For that matter, ants, they don't have mouth, but they speak. Do you know what is the language for ants? When ants want to talk, they actually, in Gangadhar, I think in second standard, right, we have a lesson. Ants have that tentacle.
Maybe in sixth class. Maybe in sixth class.
Yeah, sixth class probably. They talk about how ants organize. In fact, there was one study that I recently got, which says if you go and look inside what an ant builds, you will really get bewildered. They build buildings which are better than us. And the structure, they will have even pillar to pillar. Forget about all those things. Have you ever seen how a spider builds a spider web? You can take a scale, or you can take that, what is it called? That angle. You measure the angles, right? I forgot what is it called. Angle meter, right? So you take that thing and then take scale. The angle, the degree, and the structure, everything will be, it is so sophisticated. Even we cannot build it in such a. And in fact, it measures even the strength of material that it builds the net with, right? It has got calculations to such an extent. Who has taught it? So, and on the other hand, ants, if you look at it, they speak with their tentacles, right? So speaking, learning, all these things even ants do, right? So what is the difference? But is it intelligent to ask? Then I asked that Prabhuji, please sit down. I pacified him first and then asked, what do you think is the difference? Yes, you are not an animal. Now, what is the major difference between an animal and a human being? But first of all, I wanted to understand, is it an intelligent question to ask that what is the difference between an animal and a human being, or the difference between me and my dog? Is it a good idea to ask?
Vichakshana.
Yes, Vichakshana, correct.
I don't know.
Yes, it's Vichakshana, yeah. So what do humans have which animals do not? Vichakshana, which is nothing but, we'll come to get an answer to this. Now before revealing the answer, I want everyone to memorize this. I mean, if you can memorize it, but please repeat after me. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha.
Ahara nidra bhayamitunam cha.
Samanyametat pasubir naranam.
Samanyameta pasubir naranam.
Dharmo hi eko adhiko vishesho.
Dharmo hi eko adhika vishesho.
Dharmena hina pasuhi samana.
Dharmena hina pasuhi samana.
We are so fortunate. I mean, when I was talking to one of my counterpart in US, we went to a dinner, and then it's like only two of us. There is no one. It was not a big party, so we just worked very late in the night, and then we went to one restaurant. I think it is in Chicago downtown. So I told him that I cannot eat anything other than vegetarian. He said he too was happy to have it. Then I felt, okay, it's a very good thing. Then we went to the restaurant. Then he asked me, like, why do you say that, you don't want to eat anything other than vegetarian? Then I told him that, I had this little intelligence where, my parents told me not to eat because in my, they do not eat and they ask me not to eat. As per some Indian culture is what I said. Then he's like, okay, that's okay. But why did you say that, you got some intelligence? Then I had to tell him. And luckily, as we were born in India, and our tongues, I told him this slok. I asked him to repeat it. I said, Ahara Nidra. He said, Ara Nidra. The da and ra also is not able to pronounce correctly. Then Bhai Maitu Namcha. I don't know. I can't speak how he pronounced it. Unlucky, fortunately. So, in this country of Bharata Varsha, right? So we are so fortunate that we took Bharata in India. On top of that, you can easily understand that whatever was written there in the 4 lines, right? Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunamcha, Samanya Metat, Pasubir Naranam. So it is equally exhibited both in Pasubir and Naranam. In animals and human beings, it is from Mahabharata. It is not written. Whatever you find in this session, it is always going to be from scriptures. If you find something that is not from scriptures, you can stop me so that I'll either try to find the reference, or I will guide you to another person from whom you can get it. But everything and anything that we speak in these sessions, it is from one or the other scripture. It's not going to be outside the scope of scriptures. Okay. So, Samanya Metat Pasubir Naranam. It is exhibited in both humans and as well as animals. Dharmo hi eko adhikyo vishesho. Eko, the only difference is what? Dharma. Dharmena hina pasuhi samana. Anyone who doesn't have that is equal to an animal. This is what it says. So you can read this. So the propensity to eat, sleep, mate, and defend are equal in animals and human beings. Only one extra thing is rewarded to humans, that is to establish their relationship with God. In other words, the only difference between human beings and animals is that human beings can be trained in the science of spirituality. So Sulojana Mataji, you were saying, I think Sarita Mataji was saying that, right? Training, yes, we get training from as a human being, but when we get training, the animal cannot get trained in science of spirituality. And whereas human beings, we can get training in science of spirituality, whereas animals cannot. If any human being doesn't attempt to learn about spiritual life, he is considered to be equal to an animal. So if you read the last line, if any human being does not attempt to learn about spiritual life, he is considered to be an animal. Now we'll try to understand why it is so stressed over here, right? So, so what is human intelligence for? Why is human intelligence is given? So in Bhagavad Gita explains what is a kripana. What is kripana? Kripana, Sanskrit word kripana means miser, right? Or it is called kanjus. Okay, kanjus, makichus, right? So I'll try to narrate one small story here. So do we all agree that we have got an intelligence? Can we agree? Or anyone differs that human beings doesn't have intelligence? We all agree, right? Yes, we are intelligent. Even I'm not intelligent, I feel good when I say I'm intelligent, right? So we all have got an intelligence compared to animals, right? Now,
Yes.
coming back, let's talk about, I'll try to narrate one small story. There is a cowherd boy, or you can say he's a shepherd. He's a shepherd. So there is a shepherd who actually takes care of the sheep, right? He's very happy doing what he was doing. So he was taking the sheep and taking to the hill, and then at times he used to go uphill feeding the sheep. At times he used to feed them down and then come back. He's very poor for that matter. He's so poor that he used to take care of other sheep. He doesn't own any single sheep. All the sheep that he was actually herding were of different owners. At least in my hometown, we used to have one guy who is a cowherd person. He's like, he used to come to each individual house, and then my parents had cows, right? So he used to take our cow also for grazing to the field. So he used to come very early in the morning at around 5:30, and then he used to collect all the cows. Not 5:30, probably around 6:30 after the milking. So he used to collect all the cows and take it for grazing. I mean, people who have lived in small villages would actually appreciate what I'm talking about, right? He takes those animals for herding, and then in the evening he brings them back. When he's going, he takes his dabba, lunch box, right? So like that, this shepherd man, he was happy with whatever he was earning, whatever 100 or 200 bucks the sheep owners were giving. He used to take them for herding and then bring them back. Every day it used to happen like this. And whatever money at the end of the month they used to give, he used to take them and then feed his family. And at times what used to happen is he used to get some gifts also from the sheep owners, and then our food, which was like, left at their house. He used to collect that food in the evening, go back his home, and then help his family members also with the food. So this is how this is what his daily routine was. One day what happened was, he was going and then he kicked one small nail that came out. Then he was like, out of anger, he pulled that nail. And then when he pulled out, he found, small specks of gold coins, very small gold coin kind of things, right? Then he looked at it and then he thought, oh, what? There is gold? Then he started digging. That's what usually happens, right? When you find the first gold coin, you wouldn't stop, right? Then he started digging, more and more digging, right? He finally digged so much. He found a lot of gold. Now what happened? He took all that gold, and then now he got tension. Like, he has never seen that much of gold. Now his problem is, he doesn't want to spend this gold. At the same time, he wanted to enjoy that gold. So what he did, he took the entire gold uphill, and then he dig it, and then he put all the gold in that hole, and then covered it and put one mark for his identification, because it's very difficult to remember where he has kept it, right? So he has put one mark also. That's it. Now every day his job is take the sheep, Earlier, he used to go in the direction where the sheep were guiding. But now what happened? He was forcibly trying to gather all the sheep and take only to that place where he has stored the gold. So every day he used to climb up the hill and then graze all the sheep and then bring them back. And over time, what has happened was at times he was like he was not even getting sleep after that. He was just thinking that when will it be? When will the sun rise? When will the sun rise? When will he start herding the sheep? It was like that. Then at times used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then go to all the sheep owners and collect sheep. At times he used to go to their house at 4 o'clock and then knock the house and then ask them sheep. Those the owners used to say, "What nonsense are you doing? It is still 4 o'clock. We didn't even get up, and even the sheep were sleeping." But he's like, "Sir, I'm so interested to herd the sheep. So please send it." So this is what he used to do. 3 o'clock he used to get up. 4 o'clock collect the sheep and go uphill, and then take out the gold, look at it, and again cover it. So one person observed all these things that are happening. So finally, when that person was kind of observing it, he actually followed this person. He followed him and then went uphill and saw that, oh, this is the reason this guy has become mad for all these days. Earlier he was so happy. Now he's behaving like a mad person because he found this gold. He's going at 4 o'clock in the morning for herding and then coming at 9 o'clock to the house. Earlier he used to come at 5 o'clock itself. So then he observed and then he went along with him and understood that this guy is kind of hiding some gold somewhere. Next day, not next day. This guy came back at 9 in the night. He went and slept at the house. The other guy who saw him, observed him, he went and collected all the gold and then ran away. The next day morning, 4 o'clock, again he collected the sheep, went up the hill, saw there is no gold. He became mad. He really, really became mad. And then he was crying, weeping, he made a lot of hue and cry. It's like, then one sadhu saw him. Right? Sadhu means they're used, not this current sadhus, the old sadhus. They're very merciful. Sadhus are very merciful. So what they used to do is, they are kind of used to give happiness to everyone, not material happiness. It's called spiritual happiness. They used to give satisfaction and happiness. Now the sadhu came to that person and then said that, why are you crying? This guy explained the entire story, right? Then he said that, okay, I will get you your gold back. And then he brought some pebbles and then put them and then covered, here is your gold. Then this guy is like, have you gone mad? I was searching for gold and you got pebbles and then put it here and then you're trying to fool me saying that these are the pebbles. Then the sadhu asked, how does it help even if whether it is pebbles or gold? You never enjoyed it. It's been almost like 3 months you've got. You neither made an ornament for your wife, nor you sold it to build a house. You didn't do all these things. So why are you expecting that to be a gold? Whether it is pebble or gold, it doesn't matter. Every day you come here, open it, look at the pebbles, think of it as gold, and then go home, is what he said. Right? So what the synopsis of the story is, if you have something and you're not using it, means it is equal to not having it. Do you all agree?
Exactly.
So you've got something very valuable, but you're not using it, which means it is exactly like not having that itself. There is no difference. So one should never be a kripana. We have got an intelligence. We should use that intelligence. If you're not using that intelligence, means it is waste, right? So how do we use that intelligence? Human intelligence is to be used in what scenarios? To discriminate what is good versus bad. All of us, we teach, right? Our children, smoking is bad for health. Of course, it is bad for health. Even on cigarette packets, it is written, smoking is bad, but still people go. So are we using our intelligence? No, we are not using our intelligence. Right? Permanent versus temporary. What is permanent? What is temporary? So human intelligence should be used to understand what is good versus bad, permanent versus temporary, freedom versus real freedom. So actually, when I was in United States, right? Again, so I had one Indian friend, right? And this Indian friend, I was living in Marriott residence. In the first 1 month, your company sponsors a hotel. So I lived in that hotel, and within 15 days of my arrival, one of my friends came. And then in the morning, early in the morning, he like knock. He knocked my door. I asked him, what happened? It's still 6 a.m. When I say early morning, it's 6 a.m. itself is early morning, for a software engineer, right? So it's just 6 a.m. Why are you knocking so hard? I asked him. He said, I need tea. Why? What happened? Why are you so? He was like really crying. I need tea. I asked him what? If without tea, he cannot go for nature call. The entire day will be spoiled with constipation for him. So now tell me, if you're addicted to tea and coffee, is it freedom or real freedom? Is it freedom? my father, at least without tea, he cannot go for nature call in the morning. At times I try to tell him that, you are bound by tea. He says, yes, I'm bound by tea. I'm happy like this. So I said, you don't have freedom. He said, yes, I don't have freedom. So we need to understand what is freedom versus real freedom, right? Some people say, I'm going to club. I'm like free bird. I can do whatever I want. But, you start going to clubs for our nightclubs or things like that for maybe a couple of months, the third month, first week, if you're not, after Corona came, many people went mad. I know many people who have actually joined in Apollo out of anxiety, out of whatever mental diseases. Why? Because they ran out of freedom. There were no pubs to enjoy. There were no, alcohol that is available. I know many people. I remember that there are people who have bought few alcohol bottles almost like 200, 300 times the actual price. Do you people agree? I have personally seen in my colony, people were talking about it. They were going mad about it. Now, is it a freedom or real freedom? But when I spoke to them, I'm a free bird. I can drink, I can smoke, whatever I want to do, I can do, is what they say. But when you look at it, is it freedom? No, it's not a freedom. It's not a real freedom. Right? So we need to understand what is the goal of human life. Atata Brahma Jigyasa. Right? A great Acharya says, Atata Brahma Jigyasa. What is Atata Brahma Jigyasa? Question. Who am I? Right? Trying to understand who am I is the topmost question. Why is it topmost? That we will understand in these 12 sessions. It is not a small topic. If someone has gotten the question, who am I? That is the greatest question that you've gotten. It is not like Archimedes' formula, or it is not like Newton's third law, or it is not thermodynamics' third law, or is it, for that matter, it's not the very big question. The biggest and the best question is Atata Brahma Jigyasa. Not to waste this rare opportunity to live like other living entities. Now, you should encourage your children also to question without hesitation. The problem with Hinduism is, anything, at least in my childhood, I used to be told so many things. But when I ask for example, how many of us know that we are not supposed to kick the broom? Chipuru. We are not supposed to kick the broom. How many of us know that? My parents used to tell me that, if I touch the broom with my foot, they used to ask me to do pranam to broom. Is it same with everyone here?
Yes.
We were
Even we too.
Yeah. Did we ever ask that why I should not do that? Or any guesses?
No.
Yeah. Or maybe you can guess, why are we not supposed to kick the broom?
Somebody
We
treated
say
as
it is a
Lakshmi.
Lakshmi,
Broom
not
is a
Lakshmi.
Lakshmi.
It is treated as Lakshmi, but it sounds so whimsical, right? How can I use Lakshmi to broom the house? Huh? I can't. So if you look at it, our Hindu mythology is so strong. You have to be so humble not to even kick the broom. And why do we tie mango leaves when there happens festivals at our house?
It gives a lot of oxygen, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji, you attended last SSR, so you're answering all the questions.
No, Prabhuji, simple logical questions, we are every day we are using it.
Sulochana Mataji is from Tirupati, and if anyone wants to go and visit or get tickets or accommodation in Tirupati, we can contact her. So,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
her relatives also work in that Tirumala thing. So yeah. Anyways, so these mango leaves we tie to our Dwarabandham, or the entrance gate, because during festivals there will be many people who comes in, right? And when there are many people coming in, there will be depletion of oxygen, because we consume oxygen and leave carbon dioxide. So that is why we tie mango leaves, so that they emanate more oxygen, and we'll be happy with that. So we should let our children ask questions without hesitation. It will be very good, right? Now apply intelligence to beliefs. So do not blindly follow any belief. We have to apply intelligence and find out who is the authority. As I mentioned, no one would let their children join in Jedway syllabus, right? No one, right? So likewise, how can you let your children read something that is not in the syllabus, right? Yeah, inquire and get the answers from the authority. If someone wants to know who is his father, the only source that he can go to is his mother. Yes or no? Because only mother knows who is the father of a child, right?
Yes.
So if someone wants to know who is their father, only they can reach their mother, right? So we need to inquire information only from the right authority, right? So Otherwise, we are misers. Why are we misers? We are not using the God-given intelligence. If we are not using the God-given intelligence, we are kripanas. Like the shepherd who did not use his gold coins and one day it was stolen, we also are gonna lose our intelligence to something else. Lose in the sense not literally getting out of mind. There is no use of getting that intelligence, right? Yeah. Now, Bhagavad Gita answers these basic questions that we're going to take. If you go through these 12 sessions, you're going to get answers to all these questions. I'm sure about it. So why am I always looking for happiness? So why am I always looking? Even for that matter, the soul is said as Sat Chidananda, right? Sat means eternal, isn't it? What is Sat means? Chit means knowledge. Ananda means happiness. The soul is happy. So we will understand why am I always looking for happiness? And then what is stopping me from being happy? Why are problems coming to me? Have you ever heard of why do good things happen to bad people? Or it is the other way, right? Why do bad things happen to bad people? I used to always think, why do good things happen to bad people? Because most of the times in my life, there are only good things that are happening. So I used to ask this question, why do good things happen to bad people? Not why do bad things. Many people come with the question, why do bad things happen to good people? But I used to ask, why do good things happen to bad people? And we'll try to understand what are the real problems of life and how do I solve the real problems in life? And is there a process to permanently solve these problems? So if I have sinus headache, and today also I have gotten the sinus headache. I was thinking how to get rid of this, and it is not just this year. I was getting it like for almost like which means like almost for the last 25-30 years I have been getting this headache, the sinus headache. I was trying to find a permanent solution and it's not. So if I find a permanent solution, I would be so happy, right? So in the process, we need to understand what is the permanent solution for all the problems. So first we'll try to understand what is the real problem, and then we'll try to understand what is the solution for the real problem and how to get this permanent solution. And can I achieve uninterrupted and unalloyed happiness or unconditional happiness, which is eternal? Because the soul tries for eternal happiness because it's Sat Chit Ananda. Right? Now during these sessions, we will try to even understand Kala, time, Karma. Karma means all of us know. Prakriti, nature, Jiva, soul, Isvara means supreme. So these five, don't worry about these 5 words. We are going to get a very clear understanding about Kala, Karma, Prakriti and Jiva in these 12 sessions. Okay. Now, let's try to understand what are the real problems in life. Can anyone, throw some light on what are the real problems in life? Any guesses? For me, the real problem is,
What is somebody has, I want that one. That is a major problem.
Yes, Mataji, absolutely agree. Anything that my neighbor had, I wanted to possess it. That is, yes, that's absolutely a problem. That and when you don't get it, that problem becomes bigger, right? Yeah. Any other problems? Please speak out. Any other problems that you can think of? I'm not happy with my manager. That is my biggest problem at this point in time. He pushes me a lot for getting work done. That is one problem. Any other problems that we can think of? Do you have these problems? Someone pinged. Attachment, yes. Himtez, thank you so much. I would be calling you Himtez Prabhu. Himtez is a friend of my cousin, and it is said that usually, I just want to mention one thing over here. Usually people with very good intelligence join these sessions, and we will get to know it from Bhagavad Gita itself. Bhagavad Gita says that it is very, very difficult to find time in this Kali Yuga. And, out of 10,000, one person comes to devotional service. And out of these one person who becomes some 10 people, only one gets the real knowledge. And Himtej is from IIT Madras. And he teaches all the top class guys who is aspiring to join in IITs. He used to work in very reputed institutes. I think now he has his own. Anyone who want their children to study in IITs or IISc, or for that matter, any good colleges and schools, they can reach out to Himtej. Thank you, Himtej, for joining. Yeah. So, yeah, attachment is also definitely a problem. Any other problems that we can think of? Do we have these problems?
Feeling stressed.
Yeah, feeling stressed. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's what is happening in the third. In US, actually, it is said that 30% of the people are mental. Can we agree? 30%. Yes. Seriously, I'm not kidding. I'm sorry if there is anyone from joined from US. In last batch there were few people. So I'm not talking about those Indians who settled in US, but usually that people. We have heard, right? Some people go out with guns and then shoot. The culture in US are the white people. Can you switch off the phone? Please switch it off. Thank you. So what happens is in United States, the people go out with guns and then shoot out, right? So there are so many crazy people, and even for that matter, you know, it is so. So there are many people in US who are like, and even for that matter, if you look at Apollo, 30% of the income comes from sleep depriving. There is a disease called sleep deprival. You know, people do not get sleep nowadays, and 30% of the income comes from sleep deprived diseases in Apollo hospitals. Not just Apollo, there are many hospitals. Unless it is like specialized hospital treating with bones, eyes, and things like that, the general hospitals, they get 30 in Hyderabad at least. They're getting 30% of their income from sleep deprival and psychophysical problems, right? Yes, depression is definitely a problem. And then comes, if you are president, what problems will you solve? I wanted to imagine each one of you to become president and then wanted to understand what problems do you want to solve. Food problem, literacy, I mean giving education to people, violence, health issues. I have donated in TTD for health and food. So I thought that is a good that is the ultimate problem many people wants to solve. Exploitation, are you getting exploited? You know, women get exploited by male and then male get exploited by women. Do you know the real problems of life? Is there a criteria to determine the real problems in life? So don't we think that all these are problems? Or are there problems which are bigger than this in our life? Can anyone think of problems bigger than these problems? You can speak out. You can unmute yourself and speak out. Were you able to unmute yourself? At times it doesn't let. Were you able to unmute yourself, Prabhuji and Matajis?
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, we are able to unmute.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation, Prabhuji and Mataji. Is there any criteria? Okay, let's think of a situation where there are really bigger problems than this. Let's think of it hypothetically. So is there a criteria to determine the real problems in life? Let's move forward. Yes, there is a criteria as per scriptures to determine the real problems in life. And let's go through what are the real problems. What is the criteria for something to become a real problem? So as per scriptures, for something to be defined as a real problem, there are three criteria. One, it is everyone's problem. It has to be everyone's problem. Now let's go back. Food, is it everyone's problem? I have enough of food. And attachment, everyone doesn't have attachment. These sadhus, they do not have attachment to many things. And envy, పక్కింటి వాడికి ఉంది నాకు లేదు, అది కూడా చాలా మంది ప్రాబ్లం కదా. ఎందుకంటే whatever I have, they might be thinking of it, but those people who are like self-contented, they also do not think about it. So it is definitely not going to be a problem of everyone. No one wants it. The problem which is defined as a problem should be something that no one should be wanting it, right? And the third thing is no one can avoid it. Can't I avoid certain problems? Like problem of food, I can go to someone and then ask, eat, and then avoid it, right? So there are many problems which can be avoided. So if you want a problem, if tomorrow when you go on the road, if you look at some problem and then wanted to understand whether it can be defined as a real problem as per scriptures or not, you can think of these three criteria. If it fails any one of these, it cannot be a real problem. Now, do we know any problems that fits this criteria? I request those devotees who have attended last SSR session, please do not reveal the answers. My humble request. And then anyone wants to throw some light on giving the examples or problems which fits in all these three criteria, not one of them, all these three criteria, you can actually put it in chat window or you can speak out. If you don't want to speak out, I'll just reveal the problems. And we'll try to understand why are those the real problems. 4 real problems as per explained in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let's everyone recite this. You can actually repeat after me. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi.
Jara vyadhi.
Dukkha doshanudashanam.
Dukkha doshanudashanam.
Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanudarshanam.
Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam.
What does it say? Birth, death, old age.
Birth, death,
and
old age, and disease.
These four are the real problems. Now, now do we think that death is a problem? Yes. No one wants it. Many people do not want it. Gangadhar might appreciate this. So, actually, when I was studying my engineering, right, the owner of the college, his name is George. He never celebrated 71st birthday, I think. Am I right, Gangadhar Prabhu? Is it 71st or 72? That he didn't want to celebrate because one astrologer.
72nd, I think.
Sorry?
72nd.
72nd.
72.
Yeah, 72. Yeah. He celebrated 71st birthday. And then 72nd birthday also he celebrated as 71st birthday only. Then for 73, he celebrated 73. He didn't want to celebrate that 72nd birthday. You know the reason? One astrologer told him that he is going to die in 72nd birthday. How funny it is, you can think of, right? So, people who are at the age of 72, who have enjoyed everything in life, they also don't want to die. So, death is a problem for everyone. No one wants it. But still it comes. Can anyone avoid it? Let's think of the three criteria. Birth, we will come to it. We'll try to understand why birth is a problem. But no one wants it.
Yes, no one wants it.
No one can avoid it. And what is the third one?
The old age and disease.
No, there are three criteria, right?
Janma mrityu jara vyadhi.
Janma jara vyadhi.
No one wants it. Right?
Sadness.
Hey, Ganga,
Diseases, old age and diseases.
that is true. You are talking about the problems. But for these to be problems, there is a criteria. Right? What was the criteria?
If for everyone's problem, no one can avoid, no one can want.
Yeah, no one can avoid it. No one wants it.
No one wants it.
Similar to everyone.
Yeah, it comes to everyone. So if you look at it, birth will come to it. Death, no one wants it, but it comes. Old age, can we stop old age?
No.
No one can stop it. Disease, corona came. Could anyone stop? I also got corona. My daughter, 9-year-old daughter got corona. No one can avoid it. If it has to come, means it will come. There is no question. Now, why is birth a problem? We have to apply our intelligence. So once we realize that these are the four problems, everyone gets an understanding at different levels of these problems. So when we were small children, we were told a story. Sumati, Kalamati, Mandamati. We will be adding one more extra Mandamati, that is Atimandamati. So what happened was there is one pond and there is water in the pond and there were four fishes called Sumati, Kalamati, Mandamati, Atimandamati. So what happened was the summer was starting. Summer is reaching peaks, so the water almost is about to get dried up. And from the pond there is one small canal that goes to a bigger, bigger river or something you can say. Now, what happened was during the summer, few fishermen came and they were planning, hey, next week by the same time, all this water is gonna get dried up. We can come and catch the fish. They were discussing among themselves. Then one fish, which is called Sumati, she heard it and said that she ran away into the bigger river. Then comes Kalamati, right? So next, Kalamati, Mandamati and Atimandamati, these three did not escape. They were like Arams enjoying whatever little water that was left. Next week, these fishermen came and then tried to catch fishes. These three fishes which were left, Kalamati, Mandamati and Atimandamati, they were saved. And the other pool of fishes were caught. Then Kalamati saw it. Arey, if I stay further here, I might also get caught like this. Okay? So she ran away that week. The day after, again the fishermen came. This time what happened? What are the two fishes left? Sumati escaped in the beginning itself. Kalamati escaped after seeing it. Now you are left with Mandamati and Atimandamati. Mandamati, Atimandamati, even after seeing, they were not able to realize it. Right? Then, the couple of days after, the day after they came, the two fishermen again came. They put one gallum and then caught. This Mandamati got caught. Right? Mandamati got caught. And luckily, it escaped. And Atimandamati saw this. Mandamati got caught, it escaped, it came back to the pond and then started discussing with Atimandamati. Hey, Atimandamati, you see, I got caught. I did not listen to Sumati and Kalamati. They escaped. I want to escape. Do you want to come along with me? Luckily, I escaped. Otherwise, I would have become a fry in some a hotel by now, is what it was saying. Then Atimandamathy said, hey, you go. I'm okay. I will not get caught. Is what Atimandamathy said. Mandamathi realized, no, this, I can't convince this Atimandamathy karke. Mandamathi escaped. Now, the day after what happened, again the fisherman came, caught Atimandamathy, went and it became Korbanika. Some, food it became on the platter, right? So this is what happens with people. This is what happened. This is I just narrated the story to understand intelligence at different levels. So most intelligent person hears and understands. Sumati, less intelligent, sees and understands. Kalamati, even lesser, undergoes and realizes. That is Mandamati, worst intelligent. They will never realize, right? So now if we realize that these are the problems, we have to intelligently take a decision. Now we try to understand what are the different problems: death, old age, and disease. Now we want to understand how birth is a real problem, right? Now, before going to this, I want to show you one small video. Let me know if you can actually listen to the voice also of this video. Is the voice audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
It's very clear?
Yes, yes.
And video is also visible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, perfect. Let's watch this video, then we'll
the body is finished, and the soul again enters another. This is called transmining. What is the next body you are going to get? You must have information. Where are you right now? You're actually in the middle of the workshop right now. This is your first lesson.
ప్రాబ్లమే కదా, భర్త అనేది ప్రాబ్లమే కదా, ఎలా ఎంత ఇబ్బంది లోపల.
Yes. So, how many? I mean, does it need explanation, or do I want? Maybe, probably, we'll just summarize it.
What a terrible situation, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So, actually, how many? I mean, my mother. Told Sucharita not to eat too sour or not to eat too bitter when my daughter Prasita was in the home. No, I mean, I understood after reading Bhagavatam why she used to tell that. Many people who are pregnant, they cannot eat, right? I mean, the food doesn't taste good, right? So, and so they tend to eat more sour or more bitter things like that, right? But the parents who are actually, well versed with all these concepts, they stop them from eating because they're more concerned about the baby inside. And one other question I wanted to ask: how many do we know what is called Talasana? What is it? The Sirsasana. Sirsasana is, there is this asana in yoga called Sirsasana. Head down and
Yes.
yeah,
Heads up.
right? So
Oh.
that headstand, right? How much time can we be like that? At the max, maybe someone, if he's an expert, he can stay for half an hour, not more than that, definitely, right? But the baby in the womb is made to be head down for 9 months. Can we imagine? Forget about this one also. The baby is eaten by worms. And I'm not speaking all these things. It is Srimad Bhagavatam speaking. Lord Kapil Dev speaks to Devahuti, his mother, in Bhagavatam. Lord Kapil Dev, who is direct incarnation of Lord Vishnu, is speaking to Devahuti. Devahuti and Kardama Muni, they pray the Supreme Lord to have him as their child. So he promises them and then takes birth in Devahuti's womb 3 times. I mean, one of the incarnation is in Devahuti's womb, which is Lord Kapila Muni. And Lord Kapila instructs her mother, Devahuti, saying that, he explains all these things that we've just seen in the video. And he even tells that, in the womb, the baby is like in mid of, urine. It suffers a lot, and the worms keeps eating it. And then at that time, it wants to come out. We think, no, Baba, Nani, Chichi, Bhagat Antanadu, we enjoy that, right? I mean, we underwent that, right? So when Prasita was in the womb, we used to feel so happy when she kicks her mother's tummy. But after, reading this, I was like, what a pathetic life it is. Right? Now, can we deny the fact that birth is a problem? After listening to, you can go and read Bhagavatam.
Definitely it is a problem, Prabhuji.
It is a problem. Now, we should try to get out of it. So to get out of it, we should not be krapnas. We should use our intelligence. So birth, death, old age and disease, they're real problems. Now birth is a problem. Now I've seen one old person. It's like once I went to my friend's house. They live in Greengrass. I mean, he's a head for Lorhanite, and it's like, I went there and then it was like his father, he was not able to walk. He was literally not. He used to attend satsangs. After some days, he stopped attending satsangs. Try to understand why he's not able to walk. And my friend, he said that, Prabhuji, he at times is not able to walk, and at the same time, he's like kind of undergo some kind of what do you call psychological depression, and then he keeps crying. This is what he said. Right. So all these things can happen. Right. So we'll go back to the presentation. Yeah. So birth, death, old age, and disease, they are the real problems. Right? Now, the truth from Bhagavad Gita, actually the ultimate form or format of this body, this is very important thing. Whichever way you're born, the body is bound to become either, it's again gonna get converted into either earth or stool or air. So in any religion you see it, be it Zoroastrian, where it is eaten by birds, and at the end of the day birds leave stool. And Islamic, it is buried into the earth. Judaism also, it is buried, put it in the earth. So everywhere or anywhere, and from bones sulfur comes, and when it is burnt in the night, it becomes gas and ashes, right? So the body becomes either stool, earth, or gas, right? Why is death a subject not preferred to discuss by modern human society? Most of the times we were not allowed to talk about death. See, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, anytime when we want to go to the other side, even when I was doing my engineering, when I initially joined my engineering, I was very adamant to go and study in my college, because I don't know what is there on the other side of the globe. I had to go there. I don't know people. I don't know places and all these things. So we don't discuss about death because we are so scared of what is there on the other side of the globe. Or after death, what happens? We are very scared. That's why we are not ready. So, or on the other hand, these yogis, siddhis, buddhis, and all these people, right? They prepare for death in the sense they know what is there on the other side of death. So it's something like this. It is said in some places that life is a preparation, death is an examination. So all along, what we are doing is we are trying to prepare for death. So this is what we don't talk about, because we don't know what is there on the other side of the after death, right? So it is very important to talk about death also. We should understand, we should prepare. In the sense, when I'm saying we should prepare for death, doesn't mean that you get wood and oil and everything. What's meant by preparation for death is you have to develop that kind of detachment so that the soul doesn't go through these birth, death, old age, and disease cycles, right? And then why we call this life in this material world is so difficult, because we undergo three kinds of miseries. Right? What are the three kinds? I want everyone of you to read it. There's not much time, so I don't want to repeat and recite. I will just read it for you. Right? Three kinds of miserable conditions are there: Adhyatmika, Adidaivika, and Adibhautika. We will try to understand what is Adhyatmika Klesha, Adibhautika Klesha, and Adidaivika Klesha. Adhyatmika Klesha means something that is coming to us because of our mind, and Adibhautika Klesha is something that is coming from external matter, and Adidaivika is something that is created by the supernatural powers, that is the demigods. We have seen that, we have heard of that Vrindavan pastime, right? Govardhan, Krishna lifts Govardhan, because there are so many calamities that were created by Varunadev and Indra, right? So let's look at what is Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika is mind and body. As we discussed, 30% of the income in Apollo is just because of this, sleep deprival symptoms. Right? So it is some problem that is created by our own mind. In the recent past also we have been hearing, right? There are so many youngsters who have been committing suicides, right? So that is about Adhyatmika. And then Adi Bhautika. There are all these things are about relation. See, I mean, it's mentioned here. Even 33% people visit psychotherapists in USA, and 70% people affected by stress and anxiety. Even all the software engineers are affected by stress and anxiety. These are some statistics I try to put here. And then Adi Bhautika. Adibhautika are nothing but all these things that we undergo because of the society. Some people, Next 20, there is a movie, right? I forgot the name of the hero. So in that movie, they saw that, Nani. In the movie, that guy, Nani, he undergoes so much of stress because everyone asks him next 20. What's next? Right? You did not invest, you didn't buy a house, you're about to get married. Even nowadays, when you want to go for marriage, people ask you, how much have you invested? Even after investing you so much, they will ask you about isn't it all this nonsense? Right? So these are all, unwanted societal pressures that were created. Right? See, I mean, my mother always says, my father is very dark and my mother is very, very fair in color. I always used to say to my father, you're so dark, I don't know how my mother married you. And my mother used to say, you don't know how much your father loves me. once my mother got an ear pain. I was born in a town called Ichapuram. Okay. And in that town, there is one Perla Konda, means Perla Hill. That was Perla Hill means there will be a hilltop. You will have a mosque where these Muslim community do the prayers. Right on the hilltop there is water. It's very surprising. I don't know how at that hilltop there is water. And then once my mother got ear pain, and in the entire city, it was a very strong belief that anyone who gets an ear pain, if someone gets the water from the hilltop and then puts it in the ear, she will get cured. Right? And my mother got ear pain at around 10 p.m. and the pain is not going. It was 12 in the night. Can you believe? My father went alone to hilltop and brought the water. He went alone. There is no one to accompany him. He went alone, and it's hill, and it is completely surrounded by bushes. And even these bears used to come, and there are animals like fox and all these animals. My father went alone, and she told me that story. And then I realized, when we marry or when we try to find our life partner, we should not see externals. We should see internals. Right? And at times, there are many examples like that we have. So that is one of the reasons why my mother used to love so much. I used to, why am I saying that my mother loved him so much is, once my father got a hand fracture and then he put a band-aid also and then he came home. So it is like everything is okay. The bandage is also not so big, it's small. Looking at him, my mother fainted. And literally people had to put water on her face and then shake her, rub her to get heat and everything. Then she got up. See the kind of affection they have, despite of the difference in color. So this is what we should see. We should not look at how much someone has invested or how many flats someone has had. I have heard so many people getting divorced and committing suicides. In the recent, like a couple of months back, I heard one of my friends, sister committed suicide because she's under societal pressure. She had gotten one husband who is bald. And that guy, when married, he put wig, and then after marriage, he got revealed. And then the mother's community said that, you got married to a bald person, and she committed suicide. Can we believe it? So, and say pressure at work, same job, no promotion, no hikes, get the Vastu complaint, Vastu expert, get your house Vastu complaint, all these things we try to search for, right? So these are all Adi Bhautika, right? And then let's go a little forward. And then comes Adi Daivika, all these calamities that were created, right? One small earthquake is enough to collapse the 40 floors Lanko Hills. Do we agree? One earthquake is sufficient. We have seen in Japan, right? And we've seen many people. One tsunami, what happened to Marina Beach, right? So these are the problems that were created by Adi Daivika. And then, so we try to create solutions, but it creates more problems. I'm going to take 10 more minutes extra. Please bear with me because, we started a little late. We can finish a little late, maybe 10 minutes at the max I'm going to take. And this and the next slide is going to be the last slide. And then we can close it. In fact, when we try to find a solution, it is actually creating more problems. Do we know that all these allopathy medicines that we get is going to create more problems? It's not going to give solutions. How many of us have heard of something called diabetes in the past? There is nothing called diabetes in the past. For that matter, is there something called anxiety in the past? There is no dictionary word for anxiety. It might have been created now, but there is nothing called anxiety in our Sanskrit because there was no anxiety at all. And do we know that anxiety creates a problem for liver? We'll come to that concept. But looking at here, do you know that, tomatoes were injected some medicine to keep the size the same. Why are they trying to keep the size same? So that it gives exact measure, artificial, intelligent bots, which can actually, in Amazon Fulfillment Center or Flipkart Fulfillment Center, bots can pack the bags and ship. So we want to stop the work that is given to human beings and we want them to die of hunger, and we bring bots and then they have to pack everything, and then these packets should be shipped automatically by the bots. Now it doesn't stop there. We are trying to invent self-driven cars. So everything is done by bots. Only the human being has to suffer, eat it and suffer. So the tomatoes were injected in medicine to keep the size the same so that it can be packed by bots. How ridiculous it is. Right? This is what is happening in the current society. And we think of manufacturing more vehicles, right? And the smoke that it delivers, do we know that there are holes to the ozone layer? And there are new chemicals which exactly makes milk like milk, right? And we are moving Earth from here to there, and there is going to be definitely some imbalance that is created. Forget about all that. Do we know that every single medicine that we take is going to create a problem to liver? You take a allopathy pill, you're going to reduce your quality of life. Do we know that? And I can tell you, I have usually when I get a problem, I go to Ayurveda. I don't go to allopathy. Only for quick patches, like we can go to allopathy, which needs some immediate attention, but otherwise you should go to Ayurveda. Get some water.
Yeah.
So we had to go to Ayurveda. The reason why I'm saying Ayurveda is when you can go to YouTube and then search for videos of Dr. Hegde. Why Dr. Hegde? He's a doctor. I think he has got even Padma Bhushan, if I'm not wrong. Padma Bhushan or Padma Shri, one of these two things I'm sure he has gotten. And he was, many people tried to kill him because he's killing medicine, killing the pharma industry. He says, when you take a medicine, when it goes inside your stomach cannot understand that language, the medicine language. So what it does is it pushes it off and then it goes to liver. And when it goes to liver had to absorb it because liver is like the final resort for our body. Anything that we take, if that thing that we've taken can't be understood by stomach, it goes to liver. And I can tell you one more very bitter truth. If your liver is damaged, the heart problem starts at liver. It doesn't start at heart. Do we know that? Heart problem doesn't start at heart. It starts at liver. Why is it so? There are three kinds of heart problems. Heart blockage, cardiovascular flexible tube breakage. Third one is the signal that goes from brain to heart stops. So heart stops. That is the easiest part of the deaths. So when the signals stop going from brain to heart stops. We think of it as an easy thing, but it's not easy. It is really painful. I'll tell you why it is. And then the second kind of death is, it's called cardiovascular flexible tubes. They're called cardiovascular because they're related to cardiac. Flexible because they're very flexible. God has created them like that. They're so flexible, they need some oil to function. And this oil, or whatever fats you call it, these fats are created by liver and gallbladder. Of course, gallbladder can also be considered as an integral part of liver. So liver creates all these, liver converts the oils that we take into fats. And then those fats goes into the cardiovascular flexible tubes and keeps everything very nourished. If you are seeing your skin so nice, it is because of liver. It is not because of the oil, Johnson & Johnson baby cream or Fair and Lovely cream. It's not because of those creams. It is because of your healthy liver. Kerala people consume so much of coconut oil. That's why they're healthy. They don't get any cardiac problem, but we are not supposed to. Maybe we are not supposed to because our environment doesn't shoot such kind of consumption, right? So it is very important to keep the liver healthy. And to keep the liver healthy, you should stop eating allopathy medicines because any allopathy medicine that we take, stomach cannot understand. So it goes into the liver, and liver understands it, tries to give a solution, and it reduces its capacity, and then it goes for bad thing. Now, why are we talking about liver? And even see anything. Maybe I'll tell one small story here. When I was living as a bachelor with my roommates, what happened was once I was so close with that guy called Shiva, and then he was coming out of washroom. He took bath in the evening. He's coming out. I just want to play a prank with him, and then I said boom. When I said boom, he got scared, and then he got fever for 5 days. Can you believe it? Had anyone experienced this kind of thing? Out of fear, someone getting fever? Is it true that people get fever out of fear? Is it true?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
People get fever. Even in fact, I got fever because there is a movie called that Balakrishna movie, Mangamagari Manamadu. So it was Dasara. I was a very small kid. My parents took me to that movie, and it is played on the road during Dasara Utsav. Every night there used to be a movie played in my hometown. So I was watching on the road, and then Mangamagari Manamadu, there is one old fellow who has very cranky hair. He suddenly gets up from his corpse. And then I saw that and then got fever. My parents had to immediately take me home. And then we came home, and then I asked my mother, am I gonna be buried like this after my death? And then she understood the reason for fever. So when you get fear, when you're scared, you get fever. Now, why do you get fever when you're scared? Fever comes because of liver. Do we know that? Fever absolutely comes because of liver. And when we take medicine, the liver's emotions are suppressed. That's how liver subsides. That's why when we take allopathy medicine, fever immediately goes up within 30-40 minutes. That's because we are suppressing liver. Now, when you suppress liver, it is like you're blocking gallbladder. You can go back and read about gallbladder. Gallbladder is something that actually produces bile juice. When gallbladder is blocked, bile juice is not produced. Its production is limited. When its production is limited, the oils doesn't get converted to fats. When the oils doesn't get converted to fats, these cardiovascular flexible tubes become brittle tubes, and there is a chance of breakage. That is true, right? When we put water, when we try to use pipe to sprinkle water, the more flexible the pipe is, the more lifetime it has. Like that, if we are taking any allopathy medicine, we are killing liver, which directly hits our heart and muscles also. And for that matter, even brain also. For the body to be very lubricated, we need to keep the liver well. That's why I recommend everyone not to have food outside. Yeah, when there is not possible, you can have once in a while, but please do not. If you don't have anything, just do one small thing. Cook rice, take curd, put some curd, make some curd at home, or if you believe in someone, if someone is making real curd, bring it and then eat it. That's enough. Or drink a glass of milk. That's sufficient. You don't have to eat any food for your survival, right? So it is very important. We are creating more problems than solutions, thinking that we are creating solutions to the problems. Even coronavirus, vaccine, we don't know. It's not time tested. Had anyone taken that vaccine 50 years back and lived happily for 50 years? But of course, we don't have any other option. So we have to take the vaccine to give an immediate solution to corona. But any medicine that is created, I don't think it will give you a smooth solution, right? Any inventions for that matter. See, I'll tell you one thing. Where there in hundreds of years back, where there were no electric cars, my wife always tells, to produce electricity and then use that electricity in the cars, we are burning coal somewhere. Is it worth doing it? No, right? So this is what happens. I think, yeah, I will end with this slide. This is going to be the last slide. So we want to understand what is knowledge mean. What is knowledge? So Srimad Bhagavatam says, this is very strong thing, strong and impulsive statement that every one of us might want to understand. Vedyam vastavam matra vastu sivadam tapa. This is something that we have to remember. What does it mean? The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. What is it? The highest truth. It has to be the highest truth. So one small question I have. We had read about Pluto. Is it there now? We had read about Pluto. Is it there now? There is no Pluto now.
No.
Is it truth? It's not. So the truth has to be highest, which is like unmotivated, unadulterated, right? Is reality distinguished from illusion? It should not be illusion. It's not like that marriage in the desert. For the welfare of the all, this underlined is very, very important. If you are coming, see, in olden days, if you cheat someone and earn money, he used to be punished. And he used to be taken outside the town and then it used to be like that. But now, if you're cheating someone to earn money, it is called smartness. Do you know that? You can go to any hotel, any restaurant, or any shopping mall. You go there, they will try to put things in such a way that you tend to buy more and more. Is it not exploitation? You're trying to sell something that I do not need. And the house is filled with all those goods. And at times you don't find space for human beings to live in the house, right? So we need to use our intelligence. So are the tactics that they're doing, is it for the welfare of all? No, absolutely not, right? So what the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, second verse, what it says is, the highest truth is reality distinguished from the illusion for the welfare of all. This is something that we have to remember. Right? So our Vedic culture says poor man is always satisfied, and modern culture says rich man is always unsatisfied. And there is one more thing, right? So when you go and try to buy plots, right? Most of the times, the plots that are very close to the hospital are very high priced. And people say that, hospital hai na, paas mein. Recently, I went to Visakhapatnam. There is one very big lane where all the hospitals are set up, Apollo, Gipolo, and everything is set up, right? All the hospitals, and there the price is so high. Before to the hospitals, the price is like at rock bottom. Now it is so high, and they say that they are selling at that high price because there are hospitals. So, are you expecting me to be patient? So what they're saying is, come here, become a patient, and join the hospital. So this is something, something I was not able to digest, right? So I think with this we can actually end it. And we cannot believe in our senses. This we are going to discuss in the next session. Or probably I'll give an introduction of what this means. So, can we believe in our senses? We have got eyes, ears, nose, and tongue and skin, right? We cannot really believe in our senses. Rather, we should try to understand it from the real source of truth, because there are small insects. Those insects, they come very close to the light, and then their eyes cheat them. They show light, and then the insects, they come very close to the light, and then they get killed. With that technique, nowadays, there were some equipments that were designed. They will show some light, and insects come, touch it, and then die. Like that musk deer. The deers. In the deers, what happens is, the hunter, right, he makes very nice music, and the deer gets attracted out of that music, and then it goes, and then it will be killed by the hunter. So deer's ears are cheating it. Now for the fish, we use that, gallum, right? And then there is one worm. And then how can a worm, fly in water? and the fish thinks that, the worm is flying for me, and it tries to catch, and hook that catches its nose, and then it's dead. And musk deer actually, when it is searching for water, okay, not searching for water. Musk deer always, why it is called musk deer is, it always gets some smell of musk, right? And unfortunately, that the musk smell is coming from its nose. It's from nowhere, right? When it is coming from its nose, it forgets even drinking water, smelling that whatever musk smell that is coming out. Like that, it actually dies. And then elephants, how are they, even such a big size elephants, how are they killed? When someone wants to catch the elephant, what they do is they bring a female elephant, and then they keep the female elephant somewhere, and then the male elephant comes, and then it is very attracted by the touch of the female elephant skin, and it touches. Then they pull the female elephant in such a direction that the male elephant also walks towards, and then there will be a ditch which is covered with all grass and all. They bring the female elephant in such a way that the male elephant walks and falls in the ditch. Once that elephant falls in the ditch, for 7 days it is not given food, and it will be beaten with chains and rods and whatnot things for 7 days without food. And this touch, the female elephant touch, is something what actually had made it suffer for 7 days. And after 7 days, it is taken out, and only a 50 kg person sits on the elephant, and he controls it. See the surprising thing, right? So our senses cheats us at a lot of times. So what is the real goal of human life? To inquire about a permanent solution to the real problems of life. And what are the 4 real problems? Birth, death, old age, and disease. And the permanent relief from all these miseries, the 3 miseries we discussed. 4 problems, real problems: birth, death, old age, and disease. And 3 real problems: Adhyatmika, Adidaivika, and Adibhautika. An eternal life of bliss, peace, and happiness is something that we should inquire about. Therefore, inquire about the root cause of all the causes and the source of everything. So once after we understanding that, birth, death, old age, and disease. And one other thing I want to tell you, death is also so painful. Many people say, I mean, in my colony, one old person died, who was like 87 years old. And someone said, what a peaceful death he died. Is it a peaceful death? When someone dies, he undergoes a pain of 43,000 scorpion bites. Do we know that? Maybe I'm wrong on the figure. I'll get back to you on that. But once I got bitten by a scorpion, it is so painful. 4 o'clock in the night, my parents have to take me to the doctor. It was so painful. Behind the ear, I got bitten, right? And when someone dies, they will experience 43,000 scorpion. Maybe the figure is wrong, as I said. So many thousands of scorpion bites is what you will experience during death. So it is not easy, Prabhu and Matis. It's so painful. Now, I need to understand, why am I getting so much of pain? Because of the birth, death, old age, and disease, and these 3-fold miseries: Adhyatmika, Adivika, Adibhautika. Despite of me getting eternal bliss, happiness, and peace, I want to understand. If someone tells that, there is this person who is giving all these troubles, I'm going to book a flight immediately and go back and hold his collar and ask, why are you giving me the problems? Is it not true? Every one of us doesn't want to do it. We had to do it. We should be more inquisitive to understand who is really giving me this problem. So to understand this, I think we have to wait till the next session. So if you're all convinced that, these are the real problems, the next session talks about God exists. Because I was told by my parents that all these problems are pleasures or happiness, all these things were designed by God. So I wanted to understand who is actually God is, or does he really exist? If you want to understand, we have to wait till the next session. And because today we started a little late, I had to extend, but otherwise it gets finished in 2 hours itself. But my humble request to everyone is, I might have rusted during the end, but I want everyone to join the session, next session. My humble request, and I wanted everyone to have little faith that please attend till 3 sessions. If you're not able to get convinced, you can quit it. But do not, even if you're quitting, go to higher authority. I may not be the right person, or maybe I may not be eligible to clarify your questions. You should not leave. If you're really inquisitive, you have to go to next level and ask the next person, or the higher person who has got access to higher authorities. Right? You should be very inquisitive, but get an answer for all the questions that we have, which are like, why am I undergoing these 3-fold miseries, and why am I undergoing birth, death, old age, and disease? Right? With this, I think we will conclude. So if you have any questions, we will discuss. Otherwise, we will sing Narsingha-arati, and maybe a couple of minutes I take to explain about the Narsingha-arati. Narsingha-arati is like, we always ask Narsingadev to protect us, right? So he protects us from all these problems, material as well as spiritual hindrances. Material problems as well as spiritual hindrances. What are called spiritual hindrances? Anything that stops us from understanding, from trying to understand the solution for these problems, right? So we always pray Lord Narsinghadev at the end of the session to help us and protect us, so that we can we can get good health and greater exposure to real truth, so that we can realize about the soul. So Pravis and Matis, I want all of you to unmute and then please ask any questions that you have. My humble request to everyone. Okay, so even if you don't have any questions, that is fine. I'm going to post this video on internet. So next week, probably we are expecting, few of my friends were not able to attend because they were busy in some schedules this week. So probably you can attend, those will be attending next week. So I have been recording this session, right? I'm going to post it in YouTube. So if you like this session, you want to involve more people, you can pass this YouTube recording to them, so that they can watch this session and come to the next session, so that it will be easy flow for everyone. So my humble request to everyone is please attend at least 3 sessions, and then you can actually make a decision. That's first. And my very sincere humble gratitude and thanks to each and every one of us who have attended this session newly, as well who have been attending this session for the second time. I'm not sure what made you to attend for the second session, but yeah, thank you so much for attending. So anyone wants to share some realizations, they can do it. Otherwise, we can do some Narsingharti and then we can close the session. Should we do Narsingharti? Okay, I think we can do Narsingharti. It's going to be very late. You want to sing Narsingharti? My daughter is going to sing Narsingharti. Sing, yeah. Huh? Sing. Should I sing or do you want to sing? It's up to you. You sing. Okay, fine, I'll sing. Namaste Narasimhaya, Namaste Narasimhaya, Thank you, Prabhuji and Matas. If you have any questions or anything that we can discuss, or otherwise we can end this session here. Okay.
Thank you very much for the wonderful session.
So we'll end it here. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Kacharya Ashtatra Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Vancha Kalpatarvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyascha Palsanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Matas. I'm going to end this session here. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.